Hi. You hear me all right? All right, very good. My name is Mark. I'm an alcoholic. And my sobriety date is September 22nd, 2021. And this is my home group. Very happy to be here. Billy, thanks for asking me to speak tonight. Chris, thank you for your story, man. I really identified with it. A lot of vomit in my story as well. And what really stuck out to me was talking about, is this too much feedback? All right, whatever. You left the state when your kid was born because you thought you weren't going to be good at it. And I really identify with thinking I'm not going to be good at something and then not attempting to do it and just quitting without trying. And if something seems hard, it's like not something that I want to attempt, especially if I think I might fail. So, I mean, I'm listening to that. I'm kind of ruminating and thinking about what I was like. Not how I drank specifically, but how I thought. And I think as early as I can remember, like 8, 10 years old, I kind of thought I had life figured out. And, I had some really strong feelings about how a person's supposed to behave. And you can't show weakness. I'm not allowed to be vulnerable. I can't tell anyone when I'm sad. I can't tell anyone when I'm afraid. I have to wear a smile. No adult ever sat down and told me this is how I'm supposed to behave. This is something that I came up with on my own. And I don't know where it came from, but you're supposed to put on a happy face and be strong and, don't ask for help. And if someone offers you help, you say, no, I got it. I mean, this, as an 8-year-old, I had this thought. And I spent a lot of my childhood sad and afraid. And I felt like I couldn't tell anybody about it. I also kind of had this thing where I thought I knew what everybody was thinking. And I kind of knew that the kids around me didn't like me or wouldn't like me if I was myself. I kind of had this thought that I had to be something else in order to be liked by other people. And I spent a lot of my time thinking about how I'm supposed to talk to you and how I'm supposed to act towards you and what am I supposed to be interested in? What part do I have to play in order to fit in with other people? And I felt like, I remember a distinct feeling, these people don't like me, but if they got to know me, they would think I'm pretty cool. And I had a pretty lonely childhood. I lived with my mother and my stepfather from age 8, and saw my father every other weekend, and my mother's family was very straight-laced. My stepfather was a police officer. There was no cursing in the house, and I kind of felt like it was like love was transactional. If you did good, you got praised. If you did poorly, you did not get shown love. And boring was my mother's family. Like my grandfather was the mayor of our small town, and everyone paid their bills on time, and not a whole lot going on. And then I go to my dad's on every other weekend, and they all were partiers. I didn't get a huge experience with it because my mother tried to keep me away from my father's family, but they were drunk all the time. A lot of alcoholics in my dad's family. And the aunts and uncles are playing poker with my grandparents, and they're cursing at their kids and smoking cigarettes at the table, and I just thought it was great. And that really seemed like they were having a fun time, and I wasn't, and I didn't really know how. So that's what I was kind of like before I ever took a drink. And I started drinking mid-teens. Before I get into that, I just want to say another quick word about my stepfather. He was very domineering. He was 6'7", 260 pounds. And, he'd hit me upside the head if I was mouthing off. I remember him kind of yelling at me like this close to my face, like that drill instructor, Full Metal Jacket, if anyone's ever seen that. And really felt like I was bullied. I felt bullied. And I have a sister. She was lovely. We're very, very close. And she was the princess on a pedestal. And he would lavish love upon her and praise. And I would be kind of beaten down, so to speak, verbally, mentally. That's how I felt. So even today, I have a big, one of my things is fairness. If I'm not treated fairly, even if it's not a big deal, it'll set me off because it kind of just goes back to something deep inside where if I'm not being treated fairly or someone's being treated better than someone else, that really bothers me. And I kind of associate it with that. So I did spend a lot of time in my youth grounded, confined to my room. I did a lot of reading, which was good for me. I read a lot of books now. And I never would have had that experience if I was able to go outside and do stuff. But anyway, I started drinking around 14 or 15, and my mind changed. And I stopped knowing for a fact that everybody else didn't like me and that I had to be a certain thing to be liked. When I had a few drinks in me, wouldn't you know it, people thought I was pretty cool. And they thought the things I said were witty and wanted to be around me. Maybe they have felt that way all the time, but I couldn't see such a thing because that's just the way that my mind works. So my stepfather, I hate to say this, I prayed for him to die in my early to mid-teens. Prayed for it. And when I was 17, he died. And I remember feeling like this freedom. I was elated that he had died. And I felt no regret. I felt no sadness. And I remember being at the viewing and the funeral, and all these people were crying around me, and I just had to put on a somber face and seem sad. But really, I was happy. Isn't that terrible thing to think? But at that time, now I'm 17 years old, and my mother, she's in this grief, and she's, she gets very involved at a local church, and she becomes a born-again Christian, and she's not really paying too much attention to me. So now I am allowed to run the streets, and I have no supervision, and I have no one telling me what I can and can't do. So what I wanted to do was get drunk every night, and, got into some trouble and such, as teenagers will do. But it kind of seemed like now I am able to make this my main priority, this drinking and this going out and partying. I like to say that it like I was doing great in school, and now I didn't know how to have that. People have that story. I was doing great in sports in school, and then now I started drinking. I never did good in school, and I didn't really have anything going on, but this became my thing. Now, this is what I can do. I can get drunk, I can be funny, and this is all that I need. And this continued. I drank for a good 20 years, every day. And a whole lot of things in life happened. I moved to multiple states, I did multiple careers, and none of that's really important. What is important is I spent 20 years drunk. And good time Charlie, go to the bar. I learned how to shoot pool well. I sing karaoke, and I had a great time, and never really had any assets, never bought a house. People that are my age when I'm in my 30s, they have houses, they have kids, and they're showing pictures of them on Facebook and whatnot. And I'm living in this bungalow in Indian Rocks Beach, and I work at a bar and get drunk every day. And I told myself I'm a minimalist. I don't need all those things weighing me down. I'm able to go to the bar, get drunk, pay my bills, and that was going to be my existence until I died. Then my health started to get really poor. I won't talk about too much vomiting, but yeah, vomiting. And I could not draw a sober breath. I couldn't be at work sober. I couldn't sleep through the night sober. I'd have to wake up in the middle of the night, and I had a bottle on my bedside table, and I would have to roll over and drink so I can go back to sleep. And my whole life became staying drunk. It was a constant thing in my mind, to the point where I go to sleep at 11. I didn't know how to go to sleep. I only knew how to pass out. So I get done work, I drink until I passed out. I wake up at 3 in the morning. I have to go to work at 11 the next morning, so I'm doing math in my head. I got to be at work at 11, so I got to get up at 10. I need 3 hours of sleep, so that's 7. So 3 to 7, I can get drunk, this is normal to me. This is what it appeared to me to be how you're supposed to live. So, getting drunk. That's basically it. And the good time Charlie stuff, that wasn't important to me anymore. I stopped going to the bar with my friends. I stopped playing pool. I stopped doing karaoke, and I just drank at home by myself. And when I used to want to call all my friends, let's go to the bar, let's go to the bar. Let's go out, let's do this. Now my friends were calling me and I wasn't answering the phone anymore. And if I did answer the phone, I'm like, okay, I want to go out to the bar with them. I'd have to get halfway drunk before I showed up. And then I would have to drink with them, and then I'd have to go around the other side of the bar and drink more that they couldn't see, so they didn't think I was an alcoholic. I love Dr. Bob's Nightmare in the Big Book, because he talks about something that I really had an experience with. Sundays, my friends would watch football. So they'd start drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, great, I'll go over there, and then once they have a beer, and I have one, then they're going to smell alcohol anyways. They're not going to be able to tell. So I can go out to my car and drink shots. I'm hiding from my friends the fact that I'm getting drunk. So obviously I must have known something was wrong. But if I did not drink at that point, I was sick. And I went to the hospital a couple of different times. And, got kind of given Ativan and so forth. Then a couple of days later, I'd be drunk again. And man, it was exhausting. So at one point, I end up going to jail, county. I was there for 3 days. So there's no alcohol there. I was in the medical wing, and I'm detoxing from alcohol in county jail. And my God, I'm ill. And I don't know if anyone's been to Pinellas County Jail. Food I couldn't eat any of the food anyway, thank God, because it's so terrible. But the highlight of my day was when they have meals, they give these 2 big jugs with drinks that have ice in them, because the water fountain is just warm water. All I wanted was a cold drink when I'm in there. And they have this terrible water and this red juice that tastes like this terrible water. But I'm just giving people my food, and I'm just sipping this ice cold water. That's what I needed. But and they're giving me I don't know, whatever they give you in jail to help you come off of alcohol. But my God, it's terrible. And after 3 days, I get out. And while I'm in there, my mother signs me up for detox in Clearwater at Operation PAR. And I go there, and they give you this thin blanket and, these slides, and take your shoelaces. And, my mother bought me a couple packs of cigarettes for when I'm in there, and they put them in a locked cabinet. And I lay down on this bed, and I feel this tremendous sense of relief, because I knew where I was going to stay. I knew that I had a place to lay down, and I didn't have to go out there and try to figure out how I'm going to drink today. And that was really, really a good feeling. So while I'm in there, I get I get my mother, she's a great lady. She sends me, she gets me set up with this halfway house in Port Richey. I also never thought I would have came to Port Richey, Chris. There's this halfway house, and I go there on the first day, and there's a bunch of guys like me, and they're trying to get sober. And we get there, and there's these rules. You have to make your bed every morning. You have to do chores. There's a list of chores. You have to go to a meeting every day. And something I didn't know that I never learned in school was, the grades and all is great, but part of it, which I know now with my own kids, is, getting to school on time and having to complete assignments. The important thing is, like at that early age, I know that my boys have to learn how to be somewhere where they're supposed to be. And I had never learned that lesson, really. And this gave me a structure. I mean, I had pretty much conceded the fact that I don't know how to run my life by the time I got in this halfway house. But having someone else tell me what to do really helped a lot. And just something as simple as making your bed or having to clean out the refrigerator was really helpful. And we had to go to these meetings. And this is my first experience with AA. And I thought it was going to be so terrible. I thought this was the end of fun. And I'm like, how long do I got to do this before I can drink again? And people are like, you stop drinking forever. Like the thought of stopping drinking forever sounded ridiculous. I thought I just needed to drink enough or stop drinking long enough to get all the alcohol out, dry out, and then I can go back to just drinking a little bit like a normal person. I didn't know what alcoholism was. But I did know I had no other place to go, and this was a place that I could sleep. And my mother was paying for it, so, I'll ride this out. And I stayed in that halfway house for a year. And I went to a meeting every day for a year. And I'll tell you, you can do these steps half-assed, and as long as you're staying in a halfway house where you have to stay sober and you go to meetings every day, you can stay sober for a year. I've proven it. But I didn't really do steps. I just, I did just enough to skate by. I was not totally honest with myself or with the sponsor. I didn't make any amends. I didn't help anybody. And I did not complete a full inventory. But I said I did, and I, met with somebody, and I went to these meetings, and then I got out of the halfway house, and I moved back to where no one's watching me anymore. And within a few months, I was back to drinking just like I was before. And I really had the intention of drinking like a normal person, and I didn't do it. So I drank for 2 years after that. I drank for 2 whole years. And this was my home group originally, the first time I got sober. So when I had enough, and I have empty bottles lining the whole interior of my apartment, and I'm taking a pint bottle, and I'm taking all of these handles and getting the last drip out of each one, just so I can make enough to have, one shot. And I'm going to the liquor store on foot with pockets full of change, and then getting into the liquor store and wait until everybody else is done and the place is empty before I dump my change on the countertop, because I was ashamed, but I had to keep drinking. When I had enough of all that, I had to call my mother, and she bailed me out again. I had to call her, I had to sit her down and say, Mom, I've been lying to you for over a year. I've been drunk every day, and I need help. One of the greatest things I've learned in this program is asking for help and being vulnerable and allowing somebody else to help you. So I was like, you know what? I remember being in that halfway house, and I remember being relatively happy, and I want to go back and do that again. And she's like, good, I'll call him right now. And I'm like, well, I should probably get my job 2 weeks, and I still have this lease. It's going to be up soon. Maybe I should wait until this is done. It's like, no, put your stuff in a trash bag. I had 2 piles of clothes on the floor, dirty and funky. Dirty I could still wear. So put a bunch of clothes in the trash bag, and she took me up there that day. And by that evening, I was back in the halfway house. And this time I was determined to be honest. This time I wanted to do everything that this big book told me to do. I wanted to get a sponsor, and I wanted to listen to what he said, and I didn't care if I believed it or not. Because one of my biggest problems with getting sober the first time was I didn't think this was going to work. I did not see the value in what these people were telling me to do. Now, if history shows what I think is going to work is not accurate. So I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do. I want to get sober and I want to stop drinking. So I asked this guy to be my sponsor. He was with me in the halfway house 3 years prior. And now he's sponsoring me. We were in that same halfway house together. And he never left. And I came back into this room and I was afraid. I was afraid of what people would think of me. And welcomed with open arms. I see people in this room right now that just were so happy to see me here. And the guy that I called and said I was coming back, he was at this conference in Las Vegas where some of our members are tonight. So it was right around this time of year. I think it was December 19th was when I came back. Notice that's not my sobriety date. But I just determined to do these steps properly. And I wrote a very thorough 4-step. And I told my sponsor things in my 5th step that I was never going to tell anybody in my life. Things that I had been dreading telling anyone, and I thought it was going to take to my grave. But I wanted this. I really wanted it. So I told him everything. To my surprise, he had done the same things. And I was not special for these giant things in my head that I was holding on to. And that's a great revelation. And because of doing that, now I can talk about those things with ease and not be ashamed. Thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous for helping me. I mean, this is therapy that I got without paying any money. I just had someone reach out that wanted to help me, just like I want to reach out and help people now. And then it came to doing amends, scary. I had a list of people that I had to make amends to. Wow. And I can't quote the big book. It says something, we just get to it. You know what I mean? If you're afraid, do it anyway. And I went and made these amends. And the first one I made was to my mother. And at first I didn't think I had to make amends to her because I figured she was so happy that I'm sober. I mean, this is it. I mean, what more does she really need? And we have a great relationship. You know what I mean? She loves it. And I was telling this to my sponsor, and he just shook his head at me. And he said, well, it's not about apologizing to your mother. He's like, let me break it down like this. Do you know all the things that you did to your mother? All the terrible things you put her through? And I said, yeah. He said, I got news for you. She knows too. And this is about going to her and letting her know that you're aware of the damage that you have caused. And then trying to make it right by how you can act moving forward. It's about making a change in the way that you behave. One of my favorite things in the big book is in the doctor's, I don't quote the big book, I don't know. But it says that we need to have a necessary psychic change. And that is a change in the way we think, the way we perceive the world. And God has helped me with that a lot. And I didn't realize this whole time before I made amends to my mother that there was this cloud hanging over our relationship. And I didn't see it. And after making that amends, that was gone. That was truly gone. And now I have a child. I have a stepson as well. She loves them, and she counts on me to do things. This is a great relationship that I have with my mother that was repaired from doing the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Went to bosses that I had my one boss fired me. He loved me. And I put a guilt trip on him when he fired me, but he had to because I couldn't stay sober at work. And going to him was a big one. And my stepfather, not the one who died, my mother got remarried, and she's been with this guy for, going on, I don't know how many years, 25 years. And he had lent me a lot of money during the course of my drinking. And when I went to make amends to him, he knew exactly how much money I owed him. And he had a printed out sheet of the money that he had given me. Yeah, I love when people come up here and they said, don't worry about it, just keep doing what you're doing. All right. Well, that's not my experience. But what I did do, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I had a job, and I, just said, I'm going to give you $50 a week until I pay it off. And I started that week, and I got paid on Friday, and I Zelled him $50. And at the bottom, when you Zell something, there's something that says notes, and in the notes I put because I owe. And he came to count on me sending that $50 every week, and I never missed a week. It took almost 2 years, but I paid all that money back. Now that is something I don't have a lot of experience with, paying people back. I mean, even to this day, I have some hospital bills that I got to pay. That's on my list. I haven't done that yet, but I have made most of my financial amends. The first one was my stepfather, and it feels good. I remember when I'm in that halfway house, I was getting unemployment, and I got a job while I was on unemployment, and I didn't tell unemployment, and I was getting checks from unemployment and still getting a paycheck from my new job. And after a couple months, I got a letter from Department of whatever, saying, we know that you've had a job since this, you owe us this much money. And that's where I got one of the greatest gifts that I didn't even know that there was in paying back financial amends, because I paid the money. And it was against my nature. My nature is put it in the drawer. Just, if you see a phone number you don't know, you just don't answer it. And, if something comes in the mail, you just sew it away. And that'll go away. But I paid it. And the gift that I was given was I didn't get any more calls from the Department of Unemployment. I didn't get any more letters in the mail. And that feels great. It feels great to not have people calling you for money. Last year, we went to New Jersey, my wife and I, who's great. She's a member here. Do I have a little bit of time? Okay. Before I get into that, I just want to tell you, I almost didn't make this my home group, because also when I'm in that halfway house, I get a job at a restaurant, Rossi's, across the street on Rowan. And I tell my sponsor, the one who I was in the halfway house with, that I'm going to probably change home groups, because, that's the money night. If you're waiting tables, you want to work on Friday. I'll get another home group. And he's like, well, you know how we've been talking about turning your will and your life over to the care of God? Because we were in by the third step by that time. He's like, how we're supposed to, come to believe in a power greater than ourselves and not be the boss of our own lives anymore? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, this is great practice. Why don't you go into that place and tell them you can't work on Fridays because you have made a commitment to be at this home group. And like I said, I would have done anything. And I went there, and I kept the job, and I didn't work on Fridays. I didn't make as much money. And you know what? I still was able to pay my bills without working on Fridays. And I got to become a part of this group and met my wife here. I now have a child that I love. He's my world. Never would have had him if I had not trusted God with that all those years ago. We don't know what God has in store for us. And I spent a lot of time, my old perception was, I know what I need. I'm going to do what I have to do to get what I need. I start out with what I need to have. Then, what kind of force do I have to put behind it to get what I need? And my perception has shifted to, I'm not going to be worried about what I need. What I'm going to worry about is, how am I behaving today? How am I going to act? Am I trusting God? Am I doing the right thing? If something's hard, but it's the right thing to do, I'm going to do it anyway. And if I think that bad things are going to come to pass because I do what's right, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to do what's right. So I'm stopped worried about the results and start worrying about the journey that I'm taking. And the results that were given to me better than anything I could have planned out for myself. And it was a hard shift to make that, but it started with trusting in God and cleaning up my past. Now, last year, me and my wife go to New Jersey, and something big in my heart is my stepfather. And I felt like I was a victim for a long time, all through my drinking years, even until after I got sober. I thought I was a victim of this person, and I knew I had to forgive him because my sponsor told me I did. And I went. I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And I go there on a day. I sit out by his grave. I bring a chair, folding chair, and I just sit there. And I'm talking to him. And I don't know how it happened, but these thoughts started popping into my head while I'm sitting there at his grave. He was 29 when he married my mother. What am I like? What was I like at age 29? Could I have taken care of a kid? He was mean to me and good to my sister. My sister was great in school. She never got in trouble. I was a smart mouth troublemaker. Could it be that he was actually being fair and treating me how I needed to try to see me right? Is it possible that he was trying to turn me into a man and show me discipline? I'd never had that thought before. Did he love me in his own way? And I'm looking at his gravestone, and it has these stuff growing on it, moss. And it occurred to me that, his family is scattered about and probably never came to see him. And my mother certainly hasn't in 20 years. He's got this grave sitting out there that nobody visits. And I'm probably the first one to visit in who knows how long, if ever. So I get down on my knees and I start cleaning this moss off of his gravestone. And I just start crying and letting out all this stuff I've been holding on to that, I don't know, it was all in my head. I mean, maybe not all of it, but a big portion of this was in my head. And that's thank you to AA for helping me find a way to love my stepfather and not feel a victim to him. And to change the way that I see the world, to see the world through a different set of eyes. I didn't want that. I didn't come here because I wanted that. I came here because I wanted to be able to go to sleep. And I wanted to stop throwing up. I had no idea the gifts that I would receive when I put myself in God's hands. Do I still have a little time? Okay. All that being said, I fell victim to something else that I've seen happen in here, and that is I'm in this place, and I was the chairperson here, and doing all these things and sponsoring guys, and I started to feel discontent, and I started to feel like I wasn't okay. But in my mind, everyone sees me as this good person of sobriety and looks up to me. And I'm no longer allowed to be weak. And I don't want to share what's going on with me. And I let that fester in my head. At 2 years sober, I'm the speaker seeker of this group. I got to find one speaker. And then I went out and drank in a fit. Because I was angry, I let down my guard for a minute, and I went out and I drank. And I thought, I'm going to drink this weekend, and then I'm going to come back to work on Monday and just not tell anybody. And then I won't have to change my sobriety date. I'll just go on and all will be well. Well, I stayed in that hotel room for 4 days, every night or every morning. Yeah, I'm not checking out. I'm going to stay another day. I'm not checking out. I'm going to stay another day. And I'm hiding in this hotel room. I thought that I could just drink and then take a shower, shrug it off, and go back to being sober. Not my experience. Thank God, Billy, who asked me to speak tonight, and my sponsor at the time. I'm not answering my phone. My wife's calling me. She's not my wife yet, but friends are calling me, and I'm not answering the phone. I'm just sitting in this hotel room getting drunk by myself. And I get a text. We're standing out by your car in the parking lot, dummy. You want to let us come up here? I'm like, well, hell, if they found me and they're out there, I guess I might as well let them in. And they came in, and they took me, and Billy let me stay at his house for like a month. And God, we love Alcoholics and Alcoholics Anonymous. And it is such a great thing to be of service to another alcoholic who is struggling. I had to learn that lesson. And I was able to get back with my girlfriend. That was repaired over time. And then we went on to have a child, and then we went on to getting married, having a house, and life is great. And I have been awarded a lot of great physical things from alcoholism, but that isn't the great stuff that I get from this program. I can answer here comes the things that I got. I'm able to answer my phone even if I don't know what the number is. And if someone says I owe them money, I'm able to talk to them about it and set up a payment plan. Or just at least answer the phone and tell them I ain't got it, but I want to make an effort. I can go down the street and I can look every person in the eye. I can be anywhere on this planet today and never see somebody that I have to hide from or run away or hope they didn't see me. I'm able to be wrong today. I mean, my wife and I are great debaters, the two of us. And we have some fiery discussions. And she can make a point, and I'm able to recognize it and say, you know what, I think you might be right. Not standing on the principle that I'm fighting for, trying to win, but I can literally hear someone else's argument and change my mind. I can be wrong to someone, I can treat someone poorly, and then I can go back to them and say, I was wrong for doing that, and I would like to make it better. What can I do to help? Something that I also never knew I even wanted, but God, it's freeing. It is so great to be able to fix problems instead of running away from them. I don't know how to end these talks. I will tell you that I was talking to Billy today and grousing about something, and he said to me, you know what it says? We're supposed to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and our fellows. And look at the opportunity you have tonight. You get to go up there and you get to tell your story and maybe you'll help somebody. To which I was like, ugh, I don't want to hear it, Billy. But he's right. I feel so connected being of service to other people. I don't realize that I know that I feel that way if I'm going to do it, but I still don't want to do it for some reason. But then once I'm in the middle of it doing it, it is a cure to what ails me. So, very grateful to be up here to speak. I'm very grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's it. Thank you for letting me share.